Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm Sethum and welcome back to another video. Today folks, I'm going to be running a little experiment which I want to call the pillar experiment. So the reason behind this is obviously with the latest and greatest updates to the game, pillars on their own just disappear, and I've seen people put pillars up in various formats, so I'm going to try and test out and see which one works the best. Now behind me you will see a bunch of pillars all in different formats, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to run a experiment here at base in which I will have a set of pillars. On one side I will have stone pillars and on the other side I'll have wooden pillars, and they're all basically differently put together, and we'll see which ones despawn and which ones won't. Also later in the video I will be making an experiment to basically see which pillars don't affect resources. So as you can see here, we have the standalone basic pillars, which I expect will despawn in a couple of hours. Here we have a pillar with a ladder on. Now I'm expecting this one not to despawn, but the question is, will these pillars affect resources? We'll see. Here we have a pillar with a fence foundation. So it's a fence foundation and a pillar clipped on top of it. There we go, as you can see. Now, finally, we have two sets of pillars. This is a pillar with a ceiling on top and another wooden pillar with a wooden ceiling on top. And finally, at the end, we have a foundation with a pillar snapped on top of it. Now, I expect these last two ones to affect resources. So what do I mean by that? Once you've put these down next to a resource node and that node has been used, I would expect that that won't respawn back in the game. I would like to think that the pillars with a fence foundation and a ladder snapped to them will not affect resources, but time will tell, so we'll have to wait and see. So I thought I'd show you folks why I am making this particular video. As you can see, this... Hold on, let me just get a good position here. Okay. I hate it when it does that. So the problem is people will find alternative ways of using pillars to prevent others from using those areas or building or blocking people off. And I'll show you exactly what I mean. So as you can see, there we go. There's a pillar down there. And if we go up here, I know there's a new tribe that started out, but that particular tribe that I have shown you just before has pillared them in. Now, with the method that they've done, that pretty much has affected the resources around the area, so stone and trees will not spawn anymore. And that is what got me started. If you guys are going to focus on using pillars, might as well find a good method, a good way of doing this so that resources don't despawn. I mean, there are people and tribes that want to protect certain resources and resource nodes, so that is what got me into trying to make this video. Now, okay, a bit of a freeze here. As you can see, there are different pillars all around. I'll show you that this is a different tribe. There we go. And as you can see, there are pillars all the way around, pretty much blocking these guys in, and they can't really use this area to build anymore. So as you clearly have seen, using pillars to block other tribes from expanding or to protect resources was a thing and still is a thing, but I want to find a way of doing it that will not affect resources, especially for tribes that want to protect resource nodes. And I have noticed that what this tribe has done in terms of putting down a pillar with a ceiling on top has affected the resources in the area, and once they've been used, they will not respawn back in the game. Now, people that want to protect resources and resource nodes will want to use a method like this, especially from new players that don't know where the resources are and might want to build there just because there's a good resource around the area, which will effectively affect the spawn of that resource. We've also had the exact same problem. We're trying to defend an area that multiple tribes use, and as you can see, this used to have a ton of trees and a lot of good resources which have stopped spawning because we've used the exact same method. So this particular test will be carried out over several days. I would expect a total of 3, maybe 4 days. And we'll see how and what method we can find for you guys to use that will not affect resources. Okay, so it's been more or less 2 days, just under 2 days since I've last logged in. Actually, it's been more than 2 days, to be fairly honest. And I'm going to check on the first experiment that I am making, and I'm just waiting for things to load in. I want to see what is going to happen. Now, my money is on most of the pillars remaining, with the exception of those that weren't snapped onto anything. So I think that those first pillars will have disappeared. I'm curious to see what's going to happen with the pillars on the fence foundation, if they're here still, because I've noticed a bit of inconsistency with those when I did place them initially, and I think that is mostly because they didn't snap properly to the fence foundation. So yeah, okay, these are here, and the first one's gone. Right, so what's happened is the first pillar, which was on its own, has disappeared. The second pillar, as you can see, with the ladders snapped onto them, are still here. So that's good. The second pillar with the fence foundation is still here. So I think that when I initially used this method, the pillars didn't snap properly to the fence foundation. So this is one thing to look out for, folks. If you're going to use this method, make sure it snaps onto the fence foundation, because it possibly might snap onto the ground instead of the fence foundation. Also, these last 2 pillars with the ceiling and the foundation are still here. However, these are no bueno, because I think these affect resources around the area, and they affect it on quite a wide radius. Alright folks, so with the first experiment now completed, time to move on to the second experiment. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to build another set of pillars far away from base. And that little island in front of me looks like the perfect spot to do it. We don't really go around that area very often, so us logging in should not affect it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put down another bunch of pillars, one or a pair of pillars that will be snapped onto a fence foundation, pillars with a ladder on, and I'm also going to try and snap a pillar onto a fence foundation wrongly, if I can do that. And why not, I'll also put a standalone pillar, or maybe a stacked standalone pillar. We'll see, we might even do both of them, and we'll see how and if they affect resources, and what is going to happen in terms of the pillars despawning. Also, I am going to be clearing out this area of any and all resources on quite a wide area, and I want to see how this, and if it does affect the resources. So at the moment, I'm going to try and snap this pillar as wrongly as I can. Obviously, something like that, or yeah, I think I'll kind of go. That looks okay. So we'll see if this one despawns. I'm also going to put a single pillar here in the front. You know what? I'm going to stack it. I want to see if pillar on pillar despawns or stays. I think I know the answer to that, because our trap has obviously been affected. So, okay, let's see. So, I don't want them to snap onto the first bit. I'm going to put this here. That should do. And I'll put another pillar right here. I'm going to make sure it doesn't snap onto anything. Right, we'll put some ladders on these folks. Okay, what? There's nothing around here. There we go. So there's one ladder. Let's put another one on that one. I think that'll do. No, it doesn't want to go on that side. Fine. Have it your way. So I'm going to go back to the beginning, and I'm going to put a pillar on top of that first pillar, and then just a single pillar. I expect both of these pillars to disappear. So there we go. I expect this one to disappear as well as the single pillar. Just want to make sure it doesn't snap onto anything. So I'm going to try and align it as well. Kind of like that. So it's not snapped onto anything. So I would expect the first 2 pillars to disappear, the rest of them to stay. But the question is, will it affect resources? So I'm going to clean the area up. There we go, all pillars are in place. The whole area, as you can see, is as clean as can be. This will tell us if and what has been affected. If there are pillars that do affect us, then we'll just start removing pillars and see which ones don't. And hopefully we'll find a method. So I'm not going to go back to base. I will probably log back in another 2 days and we'll see what the result is. So I'll see you folks then. Alright, so I'm back on the game after 2 days. So another 2 days has passed since the previous experiment was put down. So I'm now heading on to the island to see what has changed, if anything has changed. And I can see from quite a distance that resources have spawned back in the game. But the question is, are the pillars still there? Now, I have checked the pillars at the base. They were still there, barring the first pillars that were just by themselves. So let's have a look. Okay, right. So it would appear that the standalone pillar and the stacked pillars have both disappeared. The one that I tried to wrongly snap onto the fence foundation is still there. The pillars on the fence foundation, both wooden and stone, are still there, and so are the pillars with a ladder on top of them. And as you can see from the environment, it has not stopped resources from respawning. So guys, if you're going to put pillars down to protect a resource node or an area, please put down pillars with a ladder snapped onto them or snapped onto a fence foundation, as this won't affect the resources and they will not despawn, as I have demonstrated in this experiment video. And also they cost a lot less resources, as ceilings are quite expensive things to build if you compare them to ladders and fence foundations. That is it for this video. I do hope that you have enjoyed it. If you have, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new, and share the video as you see fit. Let's get this video out there and let's stop people from ruining spawns. And until next time, stay safe, folks.